The chandeliers of the plaza shimmered like captured stars. Manhattan's night hummed beneath the ballroom windows, violins whispering through the crowd of silver tuxedos and diamonds that sparkled like broken promises. Lily Carter adjusted the silk strap of her pale blue gown, her 6-month belly gently outlined beneath the fabric. She shouldn't have been there, her husband had said so. But she believed in one last chance. Grant Whitmore, real estate millionaire and self-proclaimed architect of legacy, stood across the room with a champagne flute. On his arm was Sloane Avery, the PR director of Whitmore Holdings and Lily's former college friend. Sloane's red Dior gown caught every flash of the cameras. Lily's heart clenched when she saw Grant's hand resting on Sloane's waist, possessive, public, cruel. A hostess approached Lily with a polite smile, holding a small silver card. "Your seating. Mrs. Whitmore, Paul." Lily took it and froze. The name printed in elegant gold letters read, Mrs. Sloane Whitmore. Her pulse pounded in her ears. "There must be a mistake," she whispered. The hostess only shrugged and hurried away. Around her, laughter swirled, champagne fizzed, and the world blurred into a cruel stage. She pulled out her iPhone, hands trembling. A message blinked on the screen from an unknown number. "Don't come tonight. They're planning to humiliate you." Her throat tightened. Too late now. She looked up just as Grant raised a toast, his Rolex catching the light. "To new partnerships," he said, smiling toward Sloane. Cameras flashed. No one looked at Lily. The music softened into a waltz. Waiters floated by carrying trays of truffle canapes and sparkling water. Lily tried to steady her breath, clutching the clutch bag that held the ultrasound photo of her baby boy. She thought about their first date at a Starbucks near Columbia University. Grant had once promised, "You'll never feel small beside me." Tonight, every glance made her shrink. Grant approached, smile razor sharp. "You weren't supposed to be here, Lily," he murmured. "You'll ruin the photos." "I'm your wife," she said softly. "Not for long," he replied. His cologne mixed with Sloane's perfume, a sickly sweet scent of betrayal. Her vision blurred. The violin faded. Someone nearby whispered, "That's the crazy wife." Another voice laughed. Lily felt the heat rising in her chest. She turned toward the exit, determined to leave before the tears came. But as she reached the marble stairs, she heard Sloane's laugh behind her, high, confident, victorious. Grant's voice carried through the hall. "Security, escort her out. She doesn't belong here." Gasps rippled through the crowd. The spotlights, merciless and bright, found Lily. A guard stepped forward. "Ma'am, please." She froze. Dozens of eyes pinned her in place. Somewhere, a photographer's flash popped like gunfire. Her hand instinctively went to her belly. "Please," she whispered. "I'm pregnant." Sloane smirked. "Oh, we all know, sweetheart. The question is, whose baby is it?" The room went silent. The orchestra stopped mid-note. Lily's breath broke. Humiliation burned through her like acid. She turned to leave, stumbling slightly as the heel of her shoe caught the carpet. The ultrasound photo slipped from her bag and fluttered to the floor like a white flag. Grant didn't bend to pick it up. Instead, he adjusted his cufflinks and said to the nearest photographer, "Delete every picture with her." Lily's tears blurred the golden hall into streaks of light. She walked out under the chandelier's glow, the sound of laughter echoing behind her like shattered glass. And just as she stepped into the cold night air of Fifth Avenue, a shadow moved across the street, a man in a navy coat with a service dog at his side, watching everything. The cold air outside the plaza sliced through Lily's silk gown like knives. The golden doors behind her closed with a heavy click, muffling the laughter and orchestra inside. She stood on the marble steps, clutching her clutch and trying to catch her breath. Her baby kicked a soft reminder of the tiny life that still depended on her. She wiped her tears quickly before they froze on her cheeks. Inside, the party continued without her. She could see them through the glass. Grant's tall figure beside Sloane's perfect silhouette, the two of them glowing beneath the chandeliers as if they belonged there. A flash of cameras went off. He was smiling again, always smiling when she was suffering. "Ma'am, you can't stand here," a guard said, stepping closer. His tone was polite but firm. "Please move along." She turned to him, voice trembling. I just need a minute. My husband, he interrupted. Mr. Whitmore has requested no further disturbance. The words hit like bullets. Mr. Whitmore, not Grant, not her husband, just another client to protect. She looked down at the cracked tile near the entrance, where her ultrasound photo had fallen. Someone had stepped on it, leaving a faint heel mark. Lily bent down slowly, ignoring the pain in her lower back, and picked it up. The tiny black and white image stared back at her, a heartbeat she was now protecting alone. A car door slammed nearby. Sloane's laughter floated out into the night. Grant, you didn't have to make such a scene, she said playfully. Grant's voice followed, calm and cruel. She's been playing the victim long enough. Let her go back to whatever life she had before me. Lily's knees went weak. Before she could move, the guard stepped forward again. Mom, please. I can call you a cab. I don't have my wallet, she whispered. He has everything. The guard hesitated. For a moment, pity flickered in his eyes. Then the door opened again. Another man in a black suit approached. Mr. Whitmore said to make sure she leaves the property. Lily felt her dignity unraveling thread by thread. She turned away, forcing herself to walk down the steps. Cameras flashed again from across the street. A reporter called out, Mrs. Whitmore, any comment about your husband and his new partner? Her chest tightened. She shook her head, clutching the photo to her chest. She wanted to scream, to tell the world what he'd done, but her voice was gone, swallowed by humiliation. Her heel snapped on the curb, sending her stumbling into a puddle. The icy water soaked the hem of her gown. For a moment, she stayed there, kneeling, breathing hard, her reflection broken in the dirty water. Somewhere, a taxi honked impatiently. Then, a familiar voice sliced through the chaos. Lily? She looked up. Through the traffic, a tall man in a dark navy coat was crossing the street. His presence was steady, commanding, almost unreal against the storm of noise. Beside him, a large Belgian Malinois trotted in perfect step, its eyes sharp and alert. Jack? She whispered, hardly believing it. Her brother's face appeared under the streetlight, older, rougher, but unmistakable. What the hell did he do to you? He said, voice low, protective. Before she could answer, another sound echoed. The doors of the plaza burst open again. Grant and Sloane stepped out, laughing, drunk on champagne and arrogance. Sloane's red gown shimmered under the streetlight. Grant stopped when he saw Lily on her knees, and that cruel smile returned. You should have stayed home, he said coldly. You're embarrassing yourself. Jack's jaw clenched. You're done talking to her. Ranger, the Malinois, growled softly, stepping closer to Lily's side, ears pinned back. The streetlight caught his collar engraved with the seal emblem. Grant sneered. Oh, the famous brother, still playing soldier? Jack didn't blink, still protecting what's mine. For the first time all night, Lily saw Grant hesitate. The crowd that had gathered began whispering, cameras flashing again. Sloane tugged at Grant's arm nervously. Jack took a step forward, his voice like steel. Say one more word to her, and I swear you'll regret it. Grant laughed, lifting his glass. What's a washed-up vet gonna do? Ranger's low growl cut him off. The dog's muscles tensed, eyes locked on Grant's wrist, as if sensing what was coming next. The crowd on Fifth Avenue froze as tension thickened like fog. Cameras from curious onlookers gleamed in the night, drawn to the drama spilling out from the plaza's golden entrance. Grant stood smugly on the marble step, the champagne glass still in his hand, droplets of gold spilling over his cufflinks. Sloane lingered behind him, her smile sharp as a blade. Lily clutched her belly, trembling, while Jack stood firm beside her, shoulders squared, every inch of him carved from resolve. Ranger's growl deepened, a low, vibrating sound that echoed off the hotel walls. The dog's dark fur bristled, eyes fixed on Grant like a weapon waiting for command. Grant raised an eyebrow, smirking. Control your dog, soldier, before someone gets hurt. Jack didn't move. Then stopped threatening her. Grant's expression twisted. She's been living off my name long enough. She's done. Do you understand? Done. He stepped forward, pointing at Lily. You'll get nothing. Not the house. Not a dime. Not that kid. You want drama? Congratulations. You've got it." Lily's breath hitched. She stepped back, tears burning behind her lashes. "Please, Grant. Don't do this here." But Grant was too far gone. "You think people feel sorry for you? You're a nobody. You always were." Sloane's voice sliced in, sweet and cruel. Maybe she should stop playing the victim. Look at her pitiful. The bystanders gasped. Phones lifted higher. Jack's jaw tightened, the cord of restraint snapping thread by thread. He took one slow step forward. "You're crossing a line," he said quietly. Grant laughed. "Oh, I crossed it a long time ago." And then he made the mistake. He grabbed Lily's arm, jerking her toward him with a sudden, violent pull. Her cry echoed through the street. Ranger moved before anyone could blink. With a flash of motion, the Belgian Malinois lunged, clamping his jaws around Grant's wrist with a deep, primal snarl. The champagne glass shattered, spraying gold liquid across the pavement. Screams erupted. Sloane shrieked. Paparazzi cameras fired in bursts. Grant's roar of pain filled the air as Ranger held firm, muscles coiled, protecting his target. "Ranger, out," Jack commanded sharply. Instantly, the dog released and stepped back, eyes still locked on Grant. The discipline was military-controlled, precise. Blood trickled down Grant's wrist, staining his white cuff. "Jesus Christ," Grant shouted, clutching his arm. "That animal attacked me. I'll have it put down. I'll have you both arrested." Jack's tone stayed calm, but his eyes burned. "You laid hands on a pregnant woman. That's assault. And there are a dozen cameras to prove it." He gestured toward the crowd half of Fifth Avenue now recording the spectacle. The flashlights glinted like 1,000 silent witnesses. Sloane stumbled forward, her red gown brushing the curb. "Grant, we have to go." "Not until they pay for this," he snarled, shaking free of her grip. But the blood on his hand made him falter. Reporters were already shouting questions. "Mr. Whitmore, did your wife attack you? Who is the man with the dog? Is it true your wife's been replaced?" Grant's perfect world was collapsing in real time. Every headline was being born in the camera lenses flashing before him. Lily stood frozen, shaking, but safe. Jack placed a steady hand on her shoulder. "It's over. Let's go." As he turned her away from the chaos, a police siren wailed down the avenue. The reflection of blue and red lights flickered on the wet pavement. Sloane's face drained of color. "Grant, this is bad." He muttered something between a curse and a growl, watching as Lily disappeared into the night beside her brother and that loyal dog who'd bitten through his pride. Behind them, the cameras kept rolling, capturing the image that would flood every social feed by morning. A bleeding millionaire, a shattered champagne flute, and a woman walking away with her head held high. And somewhere above the noise, a reporter whispered the headline that would change everything. "The bite at the plaza." By dawn, Manhattan was already buzzing with the story. The incident outside the plaza had exploded across every social feed, every gossip column, every news crawl on Times Square screens. Millionaire mauled at Gala. Pregnant wife kicked out before dog attack. The bite at the plaza. The city couldn't stop talking. Lily woke up on her brother's worn leather couch in Astoria, wrapped in a faded navy blanket that smelled faintly of coffee and rain. Ranger lay at her feet, snoring softly, the tip of his tail twitching in dream. Jack sat nearby with his laptop open, scrolling through the headlines. His jaw was tight, a muscle pulsing in his temple. "Grant's PR team is already spinning it," he muttered. "They're calling you unstable, saying you stormed the stage drunk." Lily sat up slowly, her body aching from the night before. "I don't even drink." "I know that," Jack said. "But they don't care about the truth. They care about clicks." She rubbed her temples, eyes stinging from exhaustion. On the coffee table sat her cracked iPhone, buzzing nonstop with messages, most from numbers she didn't recognize. Some offered sympathy. Others were cruel. Gold digger, crazy wife, poor millionaire. Jack handed her a cup of coffee. "Drink. You'll need it." She took a cautious sip, hands trembling. "He's going to ruin me, isn't he?" Jack leaned forward. "Not if we move first. I called someone Alvarez. You remember him? My old commander's cousin. He's a family lawyer now, works on Park Avenue. He owes me a favor." Before Lily could answer, the TV across the room flashed with Grant's face. He stood outside his midtown office, arm in a bandage, his hair perfectly styled, voice calm and polished. "I hold no ill will toward my wife," he told reporters smoothly. "She's been under tremendous stress. The pregnancy has been difficult, and her brother's dog reacted unpredictably. I only hope she gets the help she needs." Lily stared at the screen, speechless. Grant's performance was flawless, every word rehearsed, every sigh measured. He looked like the victim, not the aggressor. Jack slammed the laptop shut. "I swear to God, if I ever see that smug—" "Don't," Lily interrupted softly. "That's what he wants." Outside, the morning light poured through the blinds, cutting sharp lines across the living room. Lily stood and walked to the window. Across the street, a delivery truck rumbled by, plastered with an ad for the Wall Street Journal featuring Grant's company logo. It felt like he was everywhere. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message from an unknown number. "You're done. He'll take everything." She turned pale. "Jack, look." Jack took the phone, eyes narrowing. "It's a burner number. Probably Sloan. Don't answer." Lily sank onto the couch, covering her face. "They won't stop until I break." "Bun." Jack crouched in front of her. "Then we don't break. We fight smarter. They live in the spotlight. We'll use that against them." He opened his laptop again, pulling up a video file labeled Raw Footage, PLZ. It was the original clip from the gala, unedited. In the corner of the frame, Grant could clearly be seen yanking Lily's arm before Ranger lunged. "Here," Jack said, pausing the video. "This proves everything. We'll send it to Alvarez, have him secure a protective order. And if Grant tries to sue, we go public with the full story." Lily's breath steadied. For the first time since the nightmare began, she saw a flicker of hope. But then Jack's phone vibrated. He glanced at it, expression darkening. "What is it?" she asked. "It's Alvarez," he said quietly. "Grant's already hired his firm's senior partner." The hope drained from Lily's face. "So what do we do now?" Jack exhaled slowly, eyes hardening. "We find another way. But I promise you this, sis, he's not getting away with what he did." Outside, sirens wailed faintly over the city hum. Ranger lifted his head, ears twitching, sensing the storm that hadn't passed, only changed form. And as the first headlines of the morning turned Lily into a villain, somewhere in a penthouse on Fifth Avenue, Grant Whitmore raised a glass of champagne and whispered, "Round one is mine." See. Rain slammed against the windows of Jack's apartment that night, a relentless storm pounding the city as if trying to wash away its sins. The glow from a single lamp flickered across the living room, throwing long shadows over piles of newspapers, coffee mugs, and the open laptop showing Grant's smug face on every news outlet. Lily sat on the couch in one of Jack's old hoodies, knees pulled to her chest, her belly round beneath the oversized fabric. She had been silent for hours. The television droned quietly in the background, a reporter discussing the unstable wife of real estate mogul Grant Whitmore. Each word stabbed deeper. Jack stood by the kitchen counter, phone pressed to his ear. "Yeah, I need a lawyer who's not scared of a millionaire with press connections," he said. "Someone who doesn't play golf with the Whitmores." He listened, his face darkening. "No one." "Then find someone outside Manhattan." He ended the call and rubbed his temples. "Every damn firm's turning us down. He's paid them all." Lily looked up, eyes glassy. "Maybe I should just sign whatever he wants. If I stop fighting, maybe he'll leave me alone." Jack turned sharply. "Don't even say that. That's what he's counting on. You give up, he wins." Her voice cracked. "Jack, he already won. Look at me. I've lost my job, my reputation, my home. He made me look crazy." She glanced at the muted TV screen, where an image of her, crying outside the plaza, looped endlessly beneath the headline, "Wife Loses Control at Gala." Jack stepped closer, kneeling in front of her. "You're not crazy. You're pregnant, exhausted, and betrayed by the man who should have protected you. But you're not broken, Lily. Not yet." Her eyes welled with tears. "He told me once that I was lucky to have him, that without his name, I was just another girl from Queens. Maybe he's right." 10. Jack's jaw clenched. "You listen to me. He can take your money, your apartment, your social status, but he'll never own your worth. You hear me? Before Lily could answer, Ranger lifted his head, ears twitching. A soft growl rumbled in his throat. Jack frowned and walked to the window. Across the street, under the orange streetlight, a sleek black Mercedes idled. "Stay here," Jack murmured. He stepped outside, rain soaking his jacket instantly. The Mercedes pulled away, tires hissing on the wet pavement. He caught the first 3 digits of the plate 107, but nothing more. When he came back inside, Lily was staring at her phone. "Grant just texted me," she whispered. Jack froze. "What does it say?" She turned the screen toward him. "You can run, but I own you. And that brother of yours won't protect you forever." Jack's fists clenched. "He's watching us." Ranger let out another low growl, pacing by the door. The air felt charged, electric, dangerous. Lily's voice trembled. "What if he tries to take the baby?" Jack exhaled slowly, forcing calm. "Then we go to the police tomorrow. We file for a restraining order, bring every piece of proof we've got." She nodded weakly, though fear still clouded her eyes. The storm outside roared louder, shaking the windows. Jack sat beside her again, pulling her close. "You're safe here, I promise." But Lily's mind wouldn't quiet. She thought about the look on Grant's face outside the plaza, the cold amusement, the certainty that he would never be touched by consequences. She whispered, "He's not just trying to destroy me, Jack. He's enjoying it." Jack stared into the dark rain beyond the glass. "Then he's about to learn what happens when a seal gets personal." Ranger lay back down at their feet, still alert, his eyes glowing in the lamplight. Outside, thunder rolled through the city like distant artillery. And in a penthouse high above Fifth Avenue, Grant poured another drink, dialing a number on his iPhone, and said coldly, "It's time to make her disappear quietly." Morning crept over Queens in shades of gray. The rain had stopped, but the air felt heavy, swollen with something unseen. Lily stood at the kitchen sink, her reflection pale in the window, clutching a mug of coffee that had long gone cold. She hadn't slept. Every sound from the street below made her flinch. Jack was pacing the small living room, phone to his ear, voice low but tense. "No, I don't care about the risk, Alvarez." He threatened her life. "That's enough to file a protection order." He paused, listening, then muttered, "Fine, noon tomorrow, we'll be there." When he hung up, Lily finally spoke. "What if the police don't believe me? What if he pays them too?" Jack turned, eyes fierce. "Then we'll find someone who can't be bought." Before he could say more, there was a knock at the door. Ranger's ears perked up instantly. He growled once, sharp and warning. Jack motioned for Lily to stay back, unholstered the small Glock from his belt, an old habit that hadn't died since deployment, and opened the door just enough to see. It was Mia. Lily froze. Her former best friend stood there in a beige trench coat, hair sleek, makeup flawless, clutching a designer tote. Her expression was carefully composed, but her eyes darted nervously past Jack into the apartment. "Can I come in?" she asked softly. "Please. I just want to talk to Lily." Jack didn't move. "You've got 30 seconds to explain why you're here." "Grant's out of control," she whispered. "I didn't know how bad it was until now." Lily hesitated, torn between anger and a desperate hope that maybe, just maybe, Mia had come to make things right. Against Jack's warning glance, she nodded slightly. "It's okay. Let her in." Ranger stayed close to Lily, eyes never leaving the guest. Mia stepped inside, glancing around at the cramped apartment, the peeling wallpaper, the military medals lined neatly on the shelf. She sighed. "You shouldn't be here, Lily. You know he's going to find you." "I don't care," Lily said flatly. "What do you want?" Mia swallowed. "I came to warn you. Grant hired someone private security, not cops. They're watching you. He said if you keep pushing, he'll file a motion claiming you're unfit to be a mother." Lily's stomach turned. "He wouldn't." "Oh, he would," Mia interrupted. "He told people you're unstable, that the baby might not even be his. He's got medical records, fake ones. I saw them." Jack's jaw tightened. "And why should we believe you? You work for him." Mia's voice cracked. "Not anymore. I quit last night. I couldn't watch it anymore. He's dangerous, Jack. He's not just angry, he's planning something." Silence fell. Rain began again, tapping against the glass. Lily set down her coffee, her hands shaking. "Why are you helping me now?" Mia's eyes filled with guilt. "Because I helped him ruin you. I gave him your emails, your schedule, everything. I thought he just wanted dirt for the divorce. Then I saw the photos." "What photos?" Jack snapped. Mia's lip trembled. "The ones from that night at the plaza. His men followed you afterward. There's a picture of you falling in the street, crying. He had it framed in his office. He looks at it every morning." Lily felt her knees go weak. "He framed it?" Mia nodded, like a trophy. Jack's voice went low, controlled, lethal. "Get out, Mia." Mia hesitated, tears slipping down her cheeks. "I'm sorry, Lily. I'll send you the files I copied. They might save you." She hurried to the door, glancing back once before disappearing into the stairwell. The apartment fell silent except for the sound of Ranger pacing, restless, uneasy. Jack turned to his sister. "He's escalating. This isn't just revenge anymore. It's obsession." "Funya," Lily whispered. "What if he hurts someone to get to me?" Jack holstered his gun, eyes dark. "Then I'll stop him first." Outside, a black SUV idled at the curb, windows tinted. Inside, a man lifted his phone and murmured, "Target confirmed." And as Lily closed the curtains, unaware of the lens pointed at her window, somewhere uptown Grant Whitmore smiled at the notification that read, "She's still in Queens." That night, Queens felt too quiet. Even the rain had stopped, leaving behind a damp stillness that pressed against the windows like a warning. Lily sat on the couch with Ranger's head resting on her lap, the rhythmic thump of his tail the only sound in the room. Jack was in the kitchen, hunched over his laptop, working through encrypted files Mia had emailed. The screen flickered with scanned invoices, bank statements, and a dozen receipts from Tiffany, the Ritz-Carlton, and something called Avery PR Solutions. Jack exhaled. He's been funneling charity funds into Sloane's company. It's money laundering disguised as event consulting. He's sloppy, but protected. Lily rubbed her temples. So he's committing fraud. But he's still free while I'm the one hiding. Jack nodded grimly. That's how people like him work. They bury the truth under luxury. Before she could respond, Ranger lifted his head and gave a short bark toward the window. His body went rigid. Jack instantly stood up, reaching for the Glock on the counter. "What is it?" Lily whispered. "Stay behind me," Jack ordered, moving to the blinds. He peeked outside. A black SUV sat parked across the street, headlights off. Two silhouettes inside. Same car as before. "They're watching us again," Jack muttered. Lily's chest tightened. "Should we call the police?" He shook his head. "Without proof they're trespassing. They'll just drive off before cops arrive." Low. A beat of silence passed until a sudden crack split the air. The apartment's window shattered, glass raining down as a small metal device clattered onto the floor, hissing. Ranger barked wildly. "Smoke grenade," Jack shouted, grabbing Lily's arm. "Go, go." He dragged her toward the fire escape as gray smoke filled the room. The alarm blared. Lily coughed, covering her mouth, her eyes burning. On the street below, the SUV's doors opened. Two men in black masks stepped out. One held a stun baton. The other had a camera. Jack fired a warning shot into the air. "Back off." They hesitated, but only for a second. One of them shouted, "We just need footage, not blood." Jack's mind clicked. They weren't assassins, they were hired to stage another incident. Grant wanted new footage to spin against Lily. He helped her down the fire escape. "Keep moving, Lil. Don't stop." Her foot slipped on the wet metal step, but Jack caught her arm, steadying her. Ranger leapt down first, teeth bared, guarding the alleyway. The two men chased them around the corner, phones recording. One yelled, "Mrs. Whitmore, stop running. You're resisting legal service." "Legal service?" Lily gasped. "What are they talking about?" Jack gritted his teeth. "It's a setup. He's trying to make it look like you're violent or unstable again." They reached Jack's truck, an old silver Toyota Tacoma. He shoved Lily inside, Ranger jumping in after her. The masked men ran closer, still filming. Jack revved the engine. "You want a show? Here's your show." He threw the truck into reverse, tires screeching. and sprayed the men with muddy water as he sped out of the alley. Lily was shaking uncontrollably. "He's insane, Jack. He's actually trying to frame me." Jack's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. "Not trying. He's doing it. He wants you scared, cornered, desperate enough to make a mistake." Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. One message. "Next time, the dog won't save you." Ranger growled as if he could read the words. Jack took the next turn sharply, heading toward Midtown. "We're not running anymore. Alvarez might be tied up, but I know someone else, an old friend from my unit. He works cyber investigations now. If Grant thinks money can buy everything, he hasn't met a Marine with a grudge." Lily's voice was small. "Do you really think we can beat him?" Jack looked at her, determination hard in his eyes. "We won't beat him by fighting his way. We'll use the truth and his own arrogance to bury him." The city lights flickered on the wet asphalt as they sped across the bridge, leaving Queens behind. And from the penthouse balcony on Fifth Avenue, Grant watched their taillights vanish on his security feed, smiling as he said to Sloane, "Perfect. Now they've officially gone rogue." The city glowed beneath the rain-washed sky as Jack's truck roared down FDR Drive. Manhattan shimmered in the distance, a skyline of power and money that suddenly looked more dangerous than beautiful. Lily sat in the passenger seat, still trembling, one hand on her belly, the other gripping Ranger's collar for comfort. Her phone lay face down in her lap, still buzzing with new threats. Jack drove in silence, his jaw locked. Finally, he said, "We're going to Midtown. There's someone I trust there, Ethan Morales, cyber forensic specialist, former SEAL Intel. If Grant's behind those fake files and burner numbers, Ethan can trace them." Lily stared out the window at the glimmering skyscrapers. "You really think some hacker can stop a man like Grant?" Jack glanced at her. "He's not just a hacker. He's the guy corporations call when they're being blackmailed. If Grant's been covering up crimes online, Ethan will find them." They pulled into a dim parking garage beneath a high-rise on Park Avenue. The elevator smelled faintly of metal and coffee as they rose to the 14th floor. The office was small but filled with tech, multiple monitors, wires, blinking routers. Ethan, a bearded man in a hoodie, looked up from his MacBook Pro when they entered. "Jack Carter," he said with a grin. "I heard rumors you'd gone ghost." Then his eyes shifted to Lily. "So this is the sister the tabloids can't stop talking about." Lily's face reddened. "They make me sound like a monster." Ethan motioned toward a chair. "Yeah, that's what rich men pay PR firms to do. Sit down. Let's dig into this." Jack placed the USB drive on the desk. "Files from Mia Avery, emails, receipts, account transfers. She says Grant's laundering charity money into shell companies. We also think he's fabricating medical documents to question Lily's mental health." Ethan plugged in the drive, his fingers flying across the keyboard. Code scrolled across the screen. "Okay, this is bad," he muttered. "Really bad. These aren't just shell accounts. These are encrypted under an offshore network in the Cayman Islands. He's hiding millions through Sloane's firm." Lily's stomach turned. "So it's real." "Oh, it's real," Ethan said. "And he's not just stealing money. He's manipulating timestamps on emails to make it look like you harassed him first." Jack leaned closer. "Can you prove it?" Ethan smirked. "Already did." He opened another window, showing digital footprints, IP addresses, all leading back to Whitmore Holdings headquarters, Fifth Avenue. But then his expression shifted. "Hold up. What?" Jack asked. Ethan zoomed in on a line of code. "There's remote access active right now. Someone's tracking your phone location." Lily's blood ran cold. "You mean right now?" He nodded. "It's a spyware app hidden in one of your text backups. He's been reading your messages, tracking everywhere you go. He knew you were in Queens because your iCloud was compromised." Jack's fists clenched. "That son of a boring," Ethan interrupted. "Don't worry. I can flip it. If we reroute the signal, we can feed him fake GPS data. Make him think you're still hiding in Queens while we gather evidence." Lily looked between them. "You can really do that?" Ethan grinned. "Sweetheart, I've taken down oil companies. A spoiled millionaire's nothing." He typed faster, screens flashing with maps and coordinates. After a tense minute, he leaned back. "Done." his trackers now following an empty apartment in Astoria. Meanwhile, we'll copy everything from his cloud. His private servers syncing to a backup folder named Legacy Vault. That's where his dirty secrets live. Lily exhaled shakily. I don't know how to thank you. Ethan gave her a small smile. You can thank me by surviving this. People like Grant think money makes them untouchable. But digital footprints don't lie. Santry. Jack placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder. You're saving her life. Just doing what I do. Ethan replied. Then, as if on cue, Lily's phone buzzed again, this time with a new number and a new message. You think hiding behind your brother will save you? Look outside. Jack rushed to the window. Parked across the street was a black Mercedes, headlights on. Ethan frowned. They found you faster than I thought. Part. And as Ranger growled, the car door opened and a woman stepped out in heels, holding a white envelope addressed to Lily Carter. The moment the woman stepped out of the Mercedes, the entire office seemed to tighten with tension. Her heels clicked against the wet pavement as she crossed the street, black umbrella tilted just enough to hide her face from passing glances. She looked expensive, sleek hair, a white trench coat, and a diamond watch glinting under the streetlight. But her eyes, when they lifted toward the building, were cold. Lily's breath hitched. That's her, she whispered. That's Sloane. Jack moved closer to the window, muscles taut. Stay back. She's not here for a chat. Outside, Sloane paused at the lobby entrance, handed the envelope to the doorman, and murmured something. Moments later, the elevator dinged upstairs. Ranger began to growl before anyone even moved. Ethan swore under his breath, shutting his laptop. She tracked you here. That envelope's not a love letter, it's a trap. Probably legal papers or a recording device. The elevator doors opened with a chime that sounded too soft for how dangerous it felt. Sloane Avery stepped out, her perfume trailing behind her, a sweet, suffocating scent. Lily remembered from every gala, every dinner party where she'd smiled through humiliation. Hello, Lily, Sloane said smoothly. Still hiding behind your brother, I see. Jack stepped forward, blocking her path. You've got 30 seconds to explain why you're here before I throw you back down that elevator. Sloane's smirk didn't falter. Relax, soldier. I'm just the messenger. She placed the envelope on Ethan's desk. Grant wanted me to deliver this personally. Divorce papers. He's filing for full custody. Lily's stomach dropped. Full custody? He can't warn Z.gom. Oh, he can, Sloane interrupted. He's claiming you're emotionally unstable, financially dependent, and my favorite part, potentially violent. He's got video proof. Jack's eyes narrowed. Video of what? Sloane grinned wider. Of you, Jack. From last night. Pulling a gun in Queens. The smoke grenade. You made it too easy. Ethan's fingers flew over the keyboard. She's not lying. Someone uploaded footage to a private cloud 30 minutes ago. Same metadata as Grant's office server. Lily's pulse thundered in her ears. He's setting us up again. Sloane tilted her head, feigning pity. Come on, Lily. You married a powerful man. You knew this game came with consequences. Jack took a step closer, his voice low and dangerous. You think this is a game? Sloane met his stare evenly. To him, everything's a game. You just don't realize he's already won. She leaned toward Lily, voice dripping venom. You should have stayed quiet. Women like you don't beat men like Grant. Ranger barked, the sound echoing through the office. Sloane flinched, then forced a laugh. Still hiding behind your mutt too. Jack's patience snapped. Get out. Sloane held up her hands in mock surrender. Fine. But when this goes public tomorrow, don't say I didn't warn you. She turned, heading for the door. As she pressed the elevator button, she glanced back with one last smirk. Oh, and congratulations. It's a boy, right? Too bad his father's the only one who'll get to raise him. The elevator doors slid shut. Lily's knees buckled. Jack caught her before she hit the floor. She's bluffing, he said, though his voice trembled with fury. Ethan shook his head, scanning through data. No, she's not. They uploaded a heavily edited clip to a media outlet already. It shows Jack firing his gun cut right before the smoke grenade. Makes it look like you two staged an attack. Lily buried her face in her hands. He's going to destroy us. Ethan's tone hardened. Not if we get ahead of it. I can hack the rest of his cloud before he wipes it. We'll find something that burns him worse than he's burning you." Jack stood, pacing like a caged animal. "He wants a war? Fine. We'll give him one." Ethan handed Lily a flash drive. "This is everything I've got. So far, his offshore accounts, the fake invoices, the manipulated emails. If anything happens to me, you use this." Lily took it with trembling hands. "Ethan, what do you mean if something happens?" He gave a grim smile. "Because the moment I break into his main server, Grant will know. He has digital watchdogs monitoring every intrusion. Once I hit that firewall, there's no turning back." Jack stared at him. "So what's the plan?" Ethan typed rapidly, pulling up the encrypted server connection. "Simple. We go in, grab the proof, and bring him down before morning." The screen glowed blue, a spinning cursor waiting. Then, all at once, the monitors went black. The lights flickered out. A voice echoed through the office speaker system, smooth, male, familiar. "Well, well," Grant Whitmore said. "Did you really think I wouldn't be watching?" And in the flicker of emergency light, Lily saw her reflection in the dark glass, trapped, hunted, and now face to face with the monster himself. Alvarez arrived at noon with a leather briefcase, a reputation like granite, and a single purpose: to dismantle Grant Whitmore's polished lies piece by piece under Manhattan law today publicly. He walked into the small conference room where Lily, Jack, Ethan, and Ranger waited, carrying coffee and a stack of documents stamped, notarized, and impossible to refute under oath today. Alvarez placed a thick manila folder on the table and opened it with a deliberate calm that made even Jack sit straighter and breathe slower as cameras recorded every move. In the folder lay bank ledgers, transfer confirmations, emails with headers from Whitmore Holdings, time-stamped invoices for event consulting, and a record of a transfer to Sloan Avery's Cayman shell. Ethan pushed a flash drive forward and explained how he mirrored Grant's private cloud, recovered deleted files, and followed IP trails straight to the Fifth Avenue server this morning securely. Alvarez then produced medical records, showing that Lily's prenatal visits were documented at Lenox Hill, with notes indicating stress, not instability, contradicting the fake reports Grant circulated throughout the year. Most damaging was a voicemail from Grant to Sloan discussing how to control the narrative and fabricate incidents to hurt Lily's credibility. Alvarez played the clip. Grant's voice was smooth and arrogant, admitting he would break her and plant evidence to ensure public humiliation and legal leverage so no court could help. A hush fell as the recording ended. Lily's fingers dug into her palm, and Ranger whined softly, the dog sensing the sudden shift from rumor to damning proof right now. Alvarez stood, voice leveled, and filed for an emergency restraining order, an injunction to freeze Whitmore Holdings' discretionary accounts, and an immediate custody hearing postponement effective until full discovery concludes. The judge, a no-nonsense woman who reviewed the evidence in silence, signed the temporary order within an hour, her pen slamming the fate of Grant's morning headlines and reputation too. News vans assembled outside the courthouse as reporters shouted questions. Social feeds flipped from pity to outrage, and the public eye began to tilt toward a different story thread today. Grant called Alvarez a liar on live television and threatened to countersue for defamation, but his voice wavered when the anchor asked about the transfer records in the court file. Sloan's posture slipped. Cameras caught her fingers gripping a napkin so hard, the knuckles whitening revealed nerves, and a PR crisis whisper network began to fracture their control quickly. Grant wasn't finished. An anonymous source later gave Alvarez a recorded call in which Grant vowed retribution, promising to bury the case in litigation until Lily had nothing left alive. The cameras captured Grant exiting the courthouse with lawyers. His face showed fury, but a faint tremor in his hand betrayed worry as reporters cried frozen assets to the world. Sloan texted frantic updates to Grant. Her lawyer whispered damage control strategies, but internal emails leaked to the press hinted she'd been promised a promotion contingent on silence and immunity. Across social platforms, people began organizing boycotts of Whitmore-branded developments. Donors paused contributions, and a charity gala partner withdrew sponsorship in a dramatic public rebuke overnight. Headlines screamed accountability everywhere. Lily watched the feed with numb relief. The tide had shifted, but Alvarez warned it was only the beginning, that legal battles would be brutal and defendant dangerous when cornered. As night fell, Grant retreated to his penthouse, the skyline distant and cold, while Lily slept in Jack's tiny apartment, exhausted but clinging to a fragile, fierce sliver of hope. The next morning, the world outside was brighter, but Lily felt the same heaviness pressing on her chest. The city looked calm from Jack's apartment window, yet inside her mind, everything still burned. The media had turned overnight. Now she was the woman betrayed, the mother fighting back, but she didn't feel like a hero. She felt hollow. Jack brewed coffee in the kitchen, silent except for the clink of mugs. Ranger sat by the door, alert as always, his head turning at every hallway sound. Alvarez's restraining order had bought them time, but Grant was still powerful, still watching. Lily could feel it. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. She almost ignored it until she saw the message. Dad saw the news. He wants to talk. Her breath caught. She hadn't spoken to her father in months. After Grant isolated her, she'd stopped calling home, convinced she didn't deserve their love. Her fingers trembled as she dialed the number. The line rang twice before a voice answered, soft, old, but still steady. Lily? Tears filled her eyes immediately. Dad. Sweetheart, he said quietly. I saw everything on the news. I wish your mother were here to see how strong you've become. Lily sank into the couch, clutching the phone. Strong? Dad, I'm barely surviving. Grant's ruined my name. I'm hiding in your son's apartment, and I can't even sleep without jumping at every sound. You're still standing, he said. That's strength. Jack looked up from across the room. When she mouthed Dad, he nodded silently, letting her have the moment. Her father hesitated. There's something you need to know. A letter came in the mail yesterday addressed to you, from Grant's lawyers. I didn't open it. Lily's stomach twisted. He found you? Yes. But that's not the worst part, her father said slowly. There was another envelope, smaller, with no return address. Inside was a photo of you and Jack outside the courthouse yesterday. Someone's watching you from closer than you think. Jack's expression hardened instantly. He grabbed his keys and motioned for Ethan on speaker. We've got another breach. Track every security feed near the courthouse. Ethan's voice crackled through the phone. On it. If Grant's team's tailing you, I'll find their plates before sunset. Lily covered her face with her hands. It's never going to stop, is it? Jack knelt in front of her. It will. But you have to hold on a little longer. We're closer than you think. Before she could answer, Ranger let out a sudden sharp bark and ran to the door. Someone knocked 2 short raps, then silence. Jack's hand went to his weapon automatically. Who is it? A woman's voice replied, trembling. It's Mia. Jack opened the door just enough to see her. She looked wrecked, makeup smudged, eyes red. He's losing control, she said, voice cracking. Grant's panicking. He knows about Ethan's hack. Lily stood. What do you mean? He's sending people to wipe his servers tonight. He's paying off a tech firm to destroy every file that could expose him. Once that's gone, your proof disappears. Jack cursed under his breath. When? Midnight, Mia said. I shouldn't even be here. If he finds out, I warned you. Lily stepped closer. Then don't go back to him. Stay with us. Help us finish this. Mia shook her head. I can't. He still has my family's money tied up in his accounts. If I cross him completely, we lose everything. Lily's eyes softened. So did I. Mia's face crumpled. I'm sorry. She handed Jack a folded paper. This is the name of the data center. Downtown, under a false company name. If you want to stop him, you'll need to go tonight. Then she turned and fled down the hall before they could stop her. Jack unfolded the note and read the address. He's burning evidence. Lily looked at her brother, fear mixing with fire in her eyes. Then we stop him before he erases the truth. Ranger barked once, sharp and ready. And as the city lights flickered to life outside, Lily realized this wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was survival, and tonight would decide which one of them walked away. The rain returned after sunset, fine and steady, whispering across the city like a warning no one wanted to hear. Park Avenue shimmered under the wet glow of headlights as Jack's truck rolled toward downtown Manhattan. Lily sat in the passenger seat, silent, clutching the folded paper Mia had given them. The address read, Atlas Data Systems, 47th and Lexington. It looked harmless, but Ethan's quick search revealed it was a shell company connected to Whitmore Holdings. Jack checked his Glock, then tucked it under his jacket. Once we're inside, we copy everything and get out. Fast. If Grant's sending people to destroy files, we'll have company. Lily swallowed hard. Jack, are we really doing this? Breaking into a building could get us arrested. Bore. We're not breaking in, Jack said, glancing at her. We're saving evidence before it's destroyed. Ranger whined softly from the back seat, restless, sensing the tension. They parked 2 blocks away and met Ethan near the alley. He was soaked, laptop in hand, hood pulled low. Security's tight but lazy, he said. Cameras loop every 60 seconds. I can get us through the service door. Lily's breath clouded in the cold. If Grant catches us. He won't, Ethan interrupted. He's too busy cleaning his public image. But someone else might. Jack nodded. Let's move. The 3 of them slipped through the alley, the sound of rain masking their steps. A single red light blinked above the service door. Ethan pulled out a device the size of a deck of cards and pressed it to the lock. With a soft click, the door opened. Inside, the air was cold and humming with electricity. Rows of servers lined the narrow aisles, blinking with tiny green lights. The floor gleamed white, reflecting their movements like ghosts. Ethan set up his laptop on a workstation. All right, I'm in. Just need 5 minutes to access the primary archive. Lily watched the screen as folders appeared, hundreds of files labeled donors, legal, offshore, Sloan PR, custody. Each one could ruin Grant if the world saw it. Then a noise echoed down the hall. The sound of a door slamming. Jack motioned for silence, drawing his gun. Ranger stood alert, growling low. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate, getting closer. Ethan whispered, "We still have 3 minutes." "Cut it to 1, Jack hissed. From around the corner emerged 2 men in dark suits, earpieces glowing faintly under the fluorescent light. Private security. Grant's. One of them carried a crowbar, the other a flashlight. Jack whispered, "Stay behind me." The men spoke quietly to each other. Boss said, "Clear the place. No witnesses. Grab the drives and burn the rest." "Mind." Lily's heart slammed in her chest. Ranger's growl deepened until Jack raised a hand, signaling restraint. Ethan pressed the final key. Done. Copy complete. He yanked the flash drive free, pocketing it just as the flashlight beam swept their way. "Go," Jack ordered. They bolted toward the exit. The guards shouted, chasing after them. A gun clicked behind them. Jack spun, fired once a warning shot that shattered a ceiling light. Sparks rained down as they ran into the alley. Rain poured harder now, thunder echoing through the canyons of buildings. Ranger leapt into the truck first. Ethan followed, shoving his laptop into a waterproof bag. Jack started the engine as bullets pinged off the rear bumper. Tires screeched against wet asphalt. "Did you get it?" Lily gasped. Ethan nodded, breathless. "Every file. Offshore accounts, false contracts, custody setup. We have everything." Jack glanced in the mirror. The 2 men were already on their phones, shouting for backup. "Then hold on," he said, speeding into traffic. As they merged onto Lexington, Ethan's laptop buzzed a new alert flashing red. "What now?" Lily asked. Ethan frowned. "Grant just triggered a full system purge. He's deleting everything remotely, including his personal vault. Can you stop it?" "I already did," Ethan said, grinning. "I rerouted his purge command. Instead of deleting, it's uploading straight to a secure government archive." Jack barked out a laugh. "You just made him nuke himself." Lily turned to the window, rain streaking down her reflection. "He'll know we did this." Ethan met her gaze. "Good. Now he knows he's not untouchable." And as lightning split the sky over Manhattan, somewhere high above them in his penthouse, Grant Whitmore stared at his frozen computer screen, his secrets flashing upload complete. The morning after the midnight raid, Manhattan felt oddly quiet, like the calm before a storm finally noticed. News vans circled Grant Whitmore's penthouse, but the angle of the sun revealed something unexpected. His usual armor of confidence had a hairline crack. Inside a dim conference room, lawyers and PR consultants argued in low tones while Grant paced, phone in hand. He stared at a single notification that refused to disappear, a government archive confirming the upload of his private vault. At a tiny diner in Queens, Lily sat with Jack and Ethan, nursing tea that had gone lukewarm. The flash drive Ethan had stolen felt heavier than the metal it was made of. It contained the financial paper trail, the staged videos, and a string of texts between Grant and Sloan that made Lily's skin crawl. They had proof, and for the first time in weeks, it felt like more than a temporary reprieve. Ethan scrolled through the messages on the laptop. "Here," he said. "Listen to this voicemail." Alvarez had given permission to play it. The room leaned in. Ranger rested his head on Lily's knee. Grant's voice was smug and calculating. "We break her public image, plant the gun story, and we freeze her assets before she can hire counsel. If she resists, we escalate, make it ugly but plausible." Then a softer voice, Sloan's, answered, laughter caught in the background. "Do it, darling. I'll handle the optics." The recording ended. The diner felt too small. Jack slammed his fist on the table. He said that out loud. "We have him admitting intent." He lowered his voice. "This is intentional harm." Lily swallowed. "If this goes to court, will that recording be enough?" "He'll claim it's doctored." Fear climbed her throat. The memory of cameras, bright and unblinking, filled her head like a swarm. Ethan smiled with tired certainty. "I anticipated that. I verified the metadata, the original server timestamp, the hash signatures. This thing is clean. Federal courts will eat it up." He tapped the laptop. "But there's more. Look." He pulled up a new folder labeled Confessions. Inside were emails, drafts that Grant never sent, notes to himself about contingency plans, and a file named admissions.txt. Lily opened it with hands that trembled. The text was blunt, a list of rationalizations and steps. It read like a diary of calculated cruelty. He wrote about leverage, custody maneuvers, and how a manufactured scandal would render her too unstable to parent. He wrote how Sloan would play the compassionate lover and how donors would be placated. "You kept a diary?" Lily whispered, incredulous and furious. Why would he write that down? Ethan shrugged. Arrogance. Guys like him think paperwork protects them. It does until someone copies the paperwork to a flash drive and uploads it to a government server. The diner's afternoon crowd shifted in and out, oblivious. Lily folded the text into her mind like a map to freedom. "We need to get this to Alvarez," she said. "And to the press. All at once." Jack sat back, thinking like a strategist. "We can't just dump everything. If the press runs a half-baked story, Grant's lawyers will bury it. We coordinate, file to court, then timed release to media partners. We leak the admissions file as a smoking gun after the injunction confirms the freeze. It will blow him apart." Ethan nodded. "And the timing has to be immediate. He'll retaliate fast. We preempt his countersue by making the legal record undeniable." Lily pictured Grant cornered, his voice played back, and something fierce warmed her chest. The courthouse smelled like coffee and celluloid paper files stacked, plastic chairs rubbing under anxious legs, cameras ready like predators. Inside courtroom 12B, the gallery filled with reporters, donors, and a scattering of Whitmore's usual patrons in tailored coats. Lily sat beside Alvarez, Jack behind her like a quiet wall, Ranger unseen but loyal waiting in the van. The judge entered, robes whispering, and everyone rose. Alvarez spoke first, calm and precise. "Your Honor, we move to admit into evidence a mirrored copy of Mr. Whitmore's private vault, a recording of Mr. Whitmore discussing the orchestration of a campaign to destroy Miss Carter and financial transfers demonstrating misuse of charitable funds." The defense attorney smoothed his tie, one man who looked more accustomed to golf club hallways than cross-examination. "Objection, Your Honor," he said. "The plaintiff is presenting illegally obtained material. We contest chain of custody and assert hearsay." Alvarez responded with the kind of quiet confidence that made walls listen. "We have documented chain of custody. The mirror was created by a certified forensic specialist. Metadata, hashes, and timestamps confirm integrity. The recordings are original, preserved in a government archive with verified signatures." The judge murmured, paging through the exhibits. Outside, a camera flash lit up the foyer like mechanical lightning. The courtroom felt the tension scale higher. Alvarez played the voicemail in open court. Grant's voice, slick, arrogant, spooled from the speakers. "We break her public image." The room reacted. A murmur swept the rows. The defense tried to argue manipulation, but Ethan was prepared. He stood under oath and explained, with technical clarity, how metadata and server certificates rendered any claim of tampering implausible. Then Alvarez pivoted. He called Mia to the stand. A hush fell. Mia's face had been splotched with worry, but she steadied herself as Alvarez led her through the story: how she copied invoices, how she watched Grant sign transfers, how she mailed the envelope that started the chain. Each admission landed like a heavy stone. The defense tried to impeach her character, reminding the jury of her past loyalties, but Alvarez peeled back each attack with documents Mia had already authenticated. Grant sat stone-faced, jaw clenched. For the first time in weeks, his smile was gone. His palms glistened faintly under the courtroom lights. Sloane's fingers trembled around a folded program. A sponsor 2 rows back shifted uneasily. Alvarez then shifted to the financial trail screens, showing transfers from Whitmore Foundation accounts into shell companies, invoices listing Sloane's firm as consulting, luxury retailers recorded as event expenses. The board members who hadn't been subpoenaed watched with rising horror. A lead donor in the gallery dropped his napkin as realization washed his face. "Your Honor," Alvarez said softly, "we ask for a temporary injunction to freeze discretionary transfers from Whitmore Holdings and remove Mr. Whitmore from his position on the charity board pending full discovery." Grant's lawyer struck back, fury in his voice. "This is an attempt to weaponize falsehoods to ruin a man's livelihood." He claimed political motives, personal vendettas, and implied Alvarez was staging a spectacle. But then, unexpected testimony turned the tide. A delivery driver, ordinary, in a grease-stained jacket, stepped forward when called. He described being paid by a Whitmore assistant to deliver envelopes to multiple addresses, including one that matched metadata traced in Ethan's report. His plain, believable account filled a gap the defense couldn't explain. The judge leaned forward. "Given the weight of the evidence and the risk of irreparable harm to the charity's donors, this court grants a temporary injunction. Discretionary accounts are frozen. Mr. Whitmore is removed from board activities, effective immediately." Gasps. Papers rustled. Reporters whispered. Sloane's face registered the first real fear. Grant's composure fractured into a stunned, pale mask. Donors began murmuring about rescinding pledges. Cameras swarmed like vultures. Alvarez smiled, but it was tempered. He knew battles ahead. He looked at Lily, who felt an odd mix of vindication and exhaustion. The judge set a full discovery schedule, but the temporary victory had a taste of salt. It was not over. As the courtroom emptied, a shadow lingered near the back, an attendant with a maintenance badge. Grant's voice, thin as a wire, whispered to Sloane as they passed, "We're not done." Sloane's hand tightened on his arm, and under that whisper, a plan was already being spun. The day after the injunction, Manhattan's skyline glittered, as if mocking Grant Whitmore's downfall. News headlines screamed across digital billboards in Times Square, "Millionaire's charity frozen amid fraud probe." Reporters swarmed the front of Whitmore Holdings, their microphones like spears waiting for blood. Inside the mirrored tower, Grant sat at his glass desk, phone buzzing nonstop, every call a demand, every voice angry. Sloane paced the office, heels clicking like a metronome of panic. "We can fix this," she insisted. "We control the narrative. We leak a statement about a misunderstanding." Grant cut her off, his voice low and venomous. "You don't control anything, Sloane. You've already made me look weak. The board's turning on me. Investors are calling for audits, and half my partners just ghosted me." Sloane's jaw tightened. "You told me to trust you." He glared at her. "And you told me you wiped everything. Clearly you didn't." Her eyes narrowed. "Don't blame me for your arrogance." He slammed his fist against the desk. "I lost $50 million in donations overnight. The Whitmore name is poison now." The office door burst open. His head of PR rushed in, pale and sweating. "Grant, you need to see this." He handed over a tablet. On the screen played a leaked video, Grant and Sloane at the plaza, the night of the gala. The footage showed Lily being shoved, Ranger lunging, and Grant's voice shouting, "You'll get nothing." Grant froze. The raw truth of it was undeniable. Sloane's smirk in that moment, his cold dismissal, it was all there, now public, now viral. He hurled the tablet across the room. How the hell did they get that? The PR man whispered. Anonymous upload. Same timestamp as the charity data leak. Someone's playing chess while you're playing checkers. Sloane's eyes flicked toward him, uneasy. He's right. Whoever's behind this knows exactly what they're doing. Grant's fury turned icy. Then find them. But deep down, he already knew Jack, Ethan, and Lily. The trio had become his worst nightmare. Disciplined, tactical, unbreakable. That afternoon, as chaos consumed Whitmore Holdings, Lily sat quietly in Alvarez's office on Park Avenue. Outside the window, the rain returned soft this time, cleansing. She was exhausted, hollowed out by weeks of fear, but now there was something new in her chest, steady resolve. Alvarez set down his pen. We've gained momentum. The court will expand discovery next week. And with the financial evidence secure, the fraud charges will stick. But there's more. His board is considering removing him permanently. Lily nodded slowly. He built that company to feel untouchable. Watching him lose it, it feels strange. I thought I'd feel revenge, but all I feel is relief. Jack, sitting near the window, cracked a faint grin. Relief is victory enough. Ethan entered, holding a printout. You'll want to see this. Whitmore stock dropped 32% this morning. The board filed an internal vote of no confidence. And guess what? His name's trending under Whitmore exposed. Lily stared at the headline, then closed her eyes. It's happening, isn't it? The empire's falling. Ethan nodded, and he knows it. Back at Whitmore Holdings, Grant stood alone in his once glorious corner office. Phones rang unanswered. His assistant quit by email. The Rolex on his wrist suddenly felt too tight, the skyline outside too far away. Sloane appeared in the doorway. They're calling for your resignation. One? He didn't look up. Get out. Grant. Out, he roared. Voice cracking. For the first time, she obeyed without a word. He poured himself a drink, but his hand trembled so badly the glass slipped, whiskey spilling across the marble desk. The brown liquid pooled around a framed photo him and Lily, smiling at their wedding in Central Park. For a long moment, he stared at it, eyes hollow. Then he threw the frame against the wall. Down on the street, cameras captured him storming out of the building, shouting into his phone, face red with rage. The caption under every photo that flooded the internet that night read, "From Gala King to Fallen Fraud." And in a quiet apartment miles away, Lily watched the footage, one hand resting on her belly, whispering, "You'll never hurt us again." Outside, the storm finally broke into sunlight. The world was still spinning from the Whitmore scandal when a new player stepped into the story. 2 days after Grant's public breakdown, a man in a worn brown jacket walked into Alvarez's office. His name was Marcus Reed, former chauffeur for Whitmore Holdings. His hand shook as he removed a small digital recorder from his pocket. "I don't want money," Marcus said, voice low but steady. "I just want to tell the truth before he silences me too." Lily, Jack, and Alvarez exchanged glances. Alvarez leaned forward. "You worked for Mr. Whitmore?" "For 7 years," Marcus replied. "I drove him to every gala, every secret meeting, and I recorded everything just in case." Alvarez frowned. "Why record your employer?" Marcus gave a humorless smile. "Because I knew one day I'd need proof to protect myself. Grant doesn't just destroy people in business, he destroys them for fun." He pressed play. The recording crackled, then filled the room with Grant's unmistakable voice. "Transfer the funds to the Cayman account. If the auditors ask, it's a strategic loan. And make sure Sloane files that fake invoice under event decor. No one ever questions pretty paperwork." Lily's stomach turned. The sound of his voice still made her skin crawl. Marcus pressed play again. Another clip, Grant laughing. "You know what the best part is, Sloane? She'll never see it coming. She'll think she left me. But really, I'll leave her with nothing, just like I planned from day one." Ton. Jack's jaw clenched. He was planning it all along. Marcus nodded. He bragged about it. Every night in that damn car. He thought I was invisible. Alvarez exhaled slowly. "Mr. Reed, these recordings could change the entire case. Are you willing to testify? Marcus hesitated. He's got people watching me. After the story broke, I found a GPS tracker under my car. If I testify, I need protection. Jack leaned forward. You'll have it. I'll see to it personally. 1. The man looked relieved, shoulders sagging. Then I'm in. I've got more recordings of him threatening city inspectors, bribing donors, talking about the night of the gala. He called it performance art. Said making her cry in front of cameras was brand genius. Lily covered her mouth, shaking her head. He called my humiliation art. Marcus's expression hardened. To him, everything was theater. Even cruelty. Alvarez stood, gathering the evidence. We'll submit these to the DA first thing tomorrow. This pushes us from civil fraud into criminal conspiracy. He won't walk away from this. Jack placed a hand on Lily's shoulder. He's running out of shields. Ethan burst into the room, phone in hand. You're gonna want to see this. Grant just held a press conference. They crowded around the phone. On screen, Grant stood behind a podium, face pale but defiant. These allegations are fabricated. I have been extorted by my unstable ex-wife and her criminal brother. Any supposed evidence is the result of illegal hacking. He paused, smirked for the cameras. I intend to clear my name in court. No one humiliates me without consequence. Jack muttered. He's still bluffing, but Ethan pointed to the scrolling news ticker. No, he's retaliating. He just filed a defamation suit for $100 million. Alvarez's brow furrowed. He's trying to bury us in paperwork, stall the criminal case. Lily straightened. Resolve, replacing fear. Then we fight twice as hard. I won't be bullied into silence again. Marcus nodded. There's one more thing. The night he fired me, he said something strange. He told Sloan, if it ever gets bad, call Evan. I didn't know who that was until I saw today's news. Ethan looked up. Who's Evan? Marcus slid a photo across the desk, a man in sunglasses, standing beside Grant's Mercedes. Evan Cross. His fixer. Ex-private security. Ex-Black Ops. He cleans up messes permanently. Lily's blood went cold. You mean he kills for him? Marcus didn't answer, but his eyes said everything. And as thunder rolled over Manhattan again, Jack's phone buzzed with a single text from an unknown number. You can't protect her forever. Night fell over Manhattan like a closing curtain, heavy and unyielding. In Alvarez's office, the lights burned late, the air thick with unease. Jack checked the blinds again while Ethan's laptop hummed quietly. Marcus Reed sat near the door, wringing his hands. The name Evan Cross hung in the air like a curse. Lily stood by the window, watching the city shimmer below. So this man the Forney works for Grant? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. Marcus nodded. Worked. Maybe still does. I only met him twice, but that was enough. He doesn't talk, doesn't blink, doesn't leave footprints. People say he used to do contract work for private security firms, Black Ops level. Jack's hand went instinctively to the gun holstered beneath his jacket. Then we treat him like a professional threat. Alvarez frowned, flipping through files. We can't accuse Whitmore of hiring a hitman without proof. If this man acts outside the law, we call the feds. But for now, we need to keep Lily hidden. Lily turned from the window. I'm tired of hiding. Alvarez. I've been scared every day for months. I can't live waiting for him to send another monster after me. Jack crossed the room, steady but firm. You're not hiding, you're surviving. There's a difference. Ethan looked up from his screen. We've got movement. Someone just accessed Grant's private GPS app from an offshore address. Coordinates lead to a warehouse on the East River belongs to a logistics company owned by Evan Cross. Alvarez's eyes narrowed. That's too specific to be coincidence. Jack nodded. Then that's where we go. Lily stepped forward. You're not going alone. Jack shook his head. Absolutely not. You stay here with Alvarez. I can handle this. Jack. Lily, he interrupted, softer now. You have a baby to protect. Let me do my job. She wanted to argue, but the conviction in his eyes silenced her. Within the hour, Jack and Ethan drove through the wet streets of Brooklyn toward the East River docks. The warehouse loomed ahead gray, windowless, and silent except for the hum of the nearby bridge. Ethan parked behind a stack of shipping containers. "Security cameras on every corner," he muttered. "Give me 30 seconds." He opened his tablet and typed furiously. The cameras flickered off one by one. Jack drew his weapon and moved toward the side entrance. "Stay low. We're just confirming he's here." Inside, the warehouse was a maze of crates and shadows. The faint smell of gasoline hung in the air. A single bulb flickered above a table in the center of the floor. On it sat a laptop, open to a paused video, Grant's face frozen mid-smirk. Jack approached cautiously. "This feels wrong." The video started playing automatically, Grant's voice filling the space. "Hello, Jack. If you're hearing this, congratulations. You're predictable." Ethan cursed under his breath. "It's a setup." A red light blinked on the laptop. A hidden camera. Grant's pre-recorded voice continued, mocking and calm. "You think you're the soldier saving the helpless? You're the bait. My man Evan will take care of the rest." The sound of footsteps echoed behind them. Heavy, deliberate. Jack turned, weapon raised. Out of the shadows stepped a tall man in a black coat, his face expressionless, eyes like glass. "Evan Cross. You shouldn't have come here," he said quietly. Jack fired a warning shot. Evan didn't flinch. He stepped closer, movements smooth, controlled. Then, faster than thought, he kicked the gun from Jack's hand. The two collided, crashing into a stack of crates. Ethan grabbed the laptop and sprinted for the door. Jack blocked a blow, swung back, but Evan caught his arm and twisted. Pain shot through him. Outside, Ethan yelled, "Jack, move." He jumped into the truck and slammed the horn. The blaring sound startled Evan just long enough for Jack to break free and tackle him into a metal beam. Jack backed away, panting, weaponless but alive. "Tell Grant I'm coming for him." Evan straightened, blood on his lip, and smiled faintly. "He already knows." Jack dove for the exit as the first explosion tore through the far end of the warehouse. Fire blossomed across the crates, Grant's final insurance policy. Ethan floored the truck as Jack leapt inside. Behind them, the warehouse erupted in flames, lighting the river orange. And in his penthouse above the city, Grant watched the explosion live on his phone, whispering, "Goodbye, Carter." But the smirk faded when he realized one figure was still running from the fire alive. Flames still painted the East River orange long after midnight. Fire trucks screamed through the smoke. But Jack and Ethan were already gone, their truck swallowed by the Manhattan skyline. The city glowed in the distance, cold and indifferent. Jack's arm bled where Evan had twisted it, but he barely noticed. His mind replayed the explosion again and again, Grant's smirk flickering in the fire. Ethan drove fast, jaw clenched. That wasn't just a trap. That was a message. He knew we'd come. Jack pressed a rag against his arm. "Then it's time we send one back." Back in Alvarez's office, Lily jolted awake at the sound of the door bursting open. Jack stepped in, soot on his face, shirt torn, eyes sharp. Ranger barked once, half in relief, half in warning. "Jack." Lily rushed forward. "Are you hurt?" "What happened?" He exhaled. "He tried to blow us up, but we got out." Alvarez stood, face pale. "You mean Grant tried to kill you?" Ethan nodded grimly. His fixer, Evan Cross, was there. "We have it on video." The warehouse cameras uploaded to cloud storage before the explosion. "We've got him on tape trying to murder Jack." Lily's hands shook. "So this is it. We can finally prove he's dangerous." "Song." Alvarez walked to the window, thinking fast. "If we go to the police now, they'll open a criminal investigation. But Grant still has influence. We need to take this higher federal jurisdiction." Jack nodded. "FBI. Corruption, attempted murder, fraud, it's all connected." Ethan typed furiously at his laptop, transferring the footage to encrypted drives. "I'll deliver copies to 3 separate servers. If they try to delete one, 2 more will survive." "See." Lily took a deep breath, watching him work. For the first time in months, she felt something close to hope. He can't cover this up forever. But outside, across the city, Grant was already planning his counterstrike. In his penthouse, surrounded by shattered whiskey glasses and crumpled legal notices, Grant paced like a man cornered. The television showed his face under the headline, "Whitmore under federal scrutiny." He muted it, disgusted. Sloane stood near the bar, pale, silent. "It's over, Grant," she said softly. "You can't win this." He turned on her, eyes blazing. "I built everything from nothing. I made this city respect me." "You made them fear you," she replied. "There's a difference." He grabbed her wrist. "You're not walking away." Her voice trembled. "Let me go." He didn't. Not until her other hand raised the phone she'd been recording him with the entire time. "You just gave me what I needed," she whispered, backing away. "You're finished." 5. Grant froze. She ran before he could reach her. Back downtown, Alvarez's phone buzzed. It was an encrypted message from an unknown number. He read it, frowned, and passed it to Lily. It was a video file, Sloane's recording of Grant's outburst. Lily pressed play. Grant's voice filled the room, furious, raw. "I'll bury her. I don't care who I have to pay or kill." Jack's eyes hardened. He just confessed. Alvarez looked stunned. "Where did this come from?" Ethan traced the data. Anonymous upload. "But the signature matches Sloane Avery's device." Lily whispered. She turned on him. Jack nodded slowly. "She knows he'll destroy her next." The room fell silent except for the faint hum of city noise. Alvarez straightened. "This is it. We take everything, videos, recordings, Marcus's testimony, and we go federal. By morning, the FBI will have warrants for Whitmore Holdings and Grant's accounts." Lily's voice was steady now. "And I'll be there when they take him away." 1. Hours later, as dawn painted the skyline pink, black SUVs lined up in front of Whitmore Holdings. Agents poured inside, badges flashing, while reporters screamed questions from behind barriers. Grant watched from his balcony, a haunted figure in an empty palace. For a moment, he almost smiled as if he couldn't believe the empire he built was burning before his eyes. But when the first agent called his name, the smile vanished. And miles away, Lily stood by the window, the morning sun warming her face, whispering, "Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it arrives in silence and handcuffs." The courthouse on Center Street was surrounded by flashing lights and voices rising like waves. Camera crews, reporters, and protesters crowded the marble steps as federal agents escorted Grant Whitmore inside, handcuffed, pale, and furious. The city that once adored him now watched with sharpened eyes. Headlines scrolled across every screen. Whitmore indicted on fraud, conspiracy, and attempted murder. Lily stood at a distance beneath a gray umbrella. Jack was beside her, the rain soaking his coat. Ranger pressed against his leg. Alvarez adjusted his tie, face unreadable but eyes burning with purpose. "This is only arraignment," he said quietly, "but it's the beginning of the end." Grant glanced over his shoulder as he was led through the crowd and his gaze locked on Lily. For a brief, chilling second, the world shrank to that stare. The man who once vowed to love her now, glaring with hate so pure it almost felt holy. Then the agents pushed him forward. Inside the courtroom, marble gleamed under sterile light. The judge read the charges aloud, her voice steady and clipped. Conspiracy to commit fraud, money laundering, attempted homicide, tampering with evidence, defamation. Each word hit the room like a hammer. Grant's attorney rose smoothly, a polished man in an immaculate navy suit. "My client pleads not guilty to all charges. The evidence against him is circumstantial, the recordings illegally obtained, and the witnesses compromised by personal bias." Alvarez stood next. "Your Honor, the prosecution possesses authenticated recordings, bank statements, testimony from multiple insiders, and video footage placing the defendant's hired contractor, Evan Cross, at the scene of an attempted bombing." The judge nodded. "The evidence will speak for itself." At the prosecution table, Marcus Reed adjusted his collar, nervous but resolute. Lily could see him trembling slightly. When called, he approached the stand, swore in, and began recounting everything. The car rides, the threats, the conversations about breaking her. His voice cracked halfway through, but the truth carried weight no polish could hide. Grant's lawyer tried to discredit him. "Mr. Reed, Isn't it true you were terminated from Mr. Whitmore's service for misconduct? Marcus met his gaze evenly. I quit. The night I realized I was driving a man who thought ruining lives was a hobby. The courtroom murmured. Next came Mia. She wore a simple black suit, eyes rimmed red. When asked why she'd betrayed her employer, she whispered, "Because I couldn't keep helping a monster." She handed over her email archives and the receipts she'd once forged on Grant's orders. Each document added another nail to his golden coffin. Ethan testified last, calm, precise. He explained how Grant's cloud system contained fraud trails, falsified reports, and private messages planning Lily's emotional collapse. The defense objected multiple times, but every objection crumbled under the weight of digital proof. When the prosecution rested, the defense called no witnesses. Grant sat there, stone-faced, eyes fixed on Lily. During closing arguments, Alvarez stood tall, his voice echoing through the chamber. Power doesn't absolve cruelty. Money doesn't erase accountability. For years, Grant Whitmore used fear as his business model, until he targeted the wrong woman. Justice isn't revenge, Your Honor, it's restoration. And it begins here. Grant's lawyer countered with rhetoric and polish, painting Grant as a visionary undone by a bitter ex-wife and jealous brother. But the jury's faces told a different story. They'd seen enough. Hours later, the judge returned. Her gavel struck once. Bail denied. The defendant will remain in federal custody, pending full trial. A gasp rippled through the courtroom. Grant turned, straining against the guards. You think this is over? He hissed toward Lily. You haven't seen the last of me. Lily didn't flinch. No, Grant, she said quietly. The world has finally seen the real you. Sen, as the guards led him away, cameras flashed again, capturing the image that would flood every screen before nightfall. Grant Whitmore, the once untouchable millionaire, now just another man in chains. And as the doors closed behind him, Lily exhaled the first breath of freedom she'd taken in years, whispering, "Justice doesn't roar, it endures." 6 months later, Spring returned to New York with a gentleness Lily had almost forgotten existed. The trial had been relentless, the headlines merciless, but truth had outlived the chaos. Grant Whitmore was convicted on all major charges, fraud, conspiracy, and attempted homicide, and sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. His empire crumbled overnight. Whitmore Holdings dissolved under bankruptcy filings, his penthouse seized, his name erased from the marble walls of every gala that once worshipped him. Lily stood on the terrace of a small brownstone in Brooklyn that she and Jack had rented. The air smelled of rain and blooming lilacs. She rested a hand on her belly, now rounder, the baby kicking softly beneath her palm. Ranger lay nearby, tail flicking lazily, his loyalty unshaken. Jack stepped outside, coffee in hand. His arm, once bruised and bandaged, had healed into a scar, a reminder of what they'd survived. "You okay?" he asked quietly. She smiled faintly. "For the first time in years, I think I am." He leaned on the railing beside her, watching the sunrise spill gold across the skyline. "You know, when I came back from deployment, I thought I'd seen every kind of war. But this, what you went through, it was worse." She shook her head. "You fought enemies who wore uniforms. I fought one who wore a wedding ring." They both went silent, the truth of it hanging between them. Downstairs, Alvarez was packing up documents. The case was over, but he had come to deliver the final paperwork. Restitution for Lily, legal guardianship of her unborn child secured, and full immunity from Grant's final countersuits. He joined them on the terrace with a satisfied grin. "It's official," Alvarez said. "Every account Grant hid offshore has been recovered. The charity funds will go to rebuilding shelters for women in crisis." "I thought you'd like that." Lily's eyes softened. "That's exactly what he would hated." My. Alvarez chuckled. "Which makes it perfect." He glanced at Jack. "Your testimony helped seal the attempted murder charge. Without that footage, he might have walked." Jack shrugged modestly. "Team effort." A knock came at the front door. Ranger's ears perked up. Lily descended the stairs slowly, opening the door to find Mia standing there, holding a small box tied with a ribbon. "I figured you wouldn't want flowers," Mia said, offering a tentative smile. "So I brought this instead." 1. Inside the box was a USB drive labeled Legacy Project. It's all the footage, the trial, the testimony, every document Alvarez declassified. I thought, maybe we could use it to tell your story. For others. Lily blinked back tears. You mean like a documentary? Mia nodded. For the women who don't have brothers who can fight for them. Jack's voice came from behind her. We'll produce it together. I know a few veterans who can help with funding. Real people need to see what monsters in suits look like. Mia smiled. Then, we'll do it right. Later that afternoon, they gathered at the park near the river. The city skyline shimmered across the water, familiar but distant. Alvarez sat on a bench, reading quietly. Ethan called from San Francisco, saying the FBI had officially closed the digital investigation. You're free, Lily. Completely, he said over the phone. Grant's world is gone. And yours, well, it's just beginning. Hull. As she hung up, a breeze lifted her hair. Jack was laughing with a child nearby who fed crumbs to pigeons. For a fleeting moment, everything felt whole again. She looked up at the horizon, the same skyline where her nightmare began, and whispered, Justice wasn't revenge. It was remembering who I was before him. Jack turned to her, smiling. Ready to go home? She nodded. Yeah, let's go home. Ranger barked once, chasing the last pigeon as they walked toward the sunset together. Behind them, the city buzzed on, unaware that one woman's quiet strength had brought down an empire. And as the sky turned from gold to violet, Lily Carter, the woman once broken, walked into a new dawn, free, fearless, and finally unafraid of her own story. So that's how our story ends, my dear friends. You're still here, aren't you? If you've stayed with me until this moment, it means something in this journey has touched your heart in a way words can't quite explain. Maybe it's because deep down, we've all been Lily once. Broken, scared, and trying to find our voice again in a world that tried to silence it. What this story reminds us is something Marcus Aurelius once wrote. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about reclaiming who you are after the storm. True strength is quiet, steady, and often born from pain. So tonight, wherever you are, remember this. Your story isn't over just because someone tried to end it. You have the power to rewrite it, to rise, rebuild, and rediscover your worth. If this story stirred something in you, give it a like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and don't forget to subscribe, because here, we tell stories that heal, not just with words, but with truth.